All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome to the X Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell, coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Our website is xzoneradiotv.com, on all social media sites, X Zone Radio TV, and around the world on the X Zone Broadcast Network and our growing family of broadcast and satellite programming providers. My guest this hour is Peter Kling, who is no stranger to the X Zone and the X Zone Nation. But for those of you who may be joining us for the first time tonight on the Good News Radio Network, Peter, tell our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Oh, my goodness. Where do I start? You know, that's the one thing that I hate doing, Rob.
I'm sorry about that, friend.
That's okay. I learned the Bible starting when I was 5 years old, actually a little bit before, but I didn't learn religion. I learned the Bible in the manner of exopolitics. That's the study of the Bible and the intelligent life forms behind it that have been controlling our environment here for the last 6,000 years and probably before that. I'm actually, my education is in chemistry, and I wound up putting the two together. I had a little paradox happen when I was 9 years old. I saw a future event in a dream which actually came true, and the spiritual door was shut. And so I turned to science to look for the answer. And so I literally grew up with a test tube in one hand and a Bible in the other hand. And before everybody says, oh, well, the Bible, no, wait a minute. I want to clear one thing up. Genesis 2:21 through 23. And it wasn't good for the man to be alone. And so I'm going to create a helper for him. So God causes sleep to fall over the man, opens up the flesh, takes out a tissue sample, sends it down to genetic engineering, says, here, genetically engineer this DNA sample into a woman. They do that, put it in the shake and bake machine, and she is then beamed down to the man, and the man says, at last, this is flesh of my flesh and bone of my bone. This one has been taken from man. I shall call her woman. She's my clone. Well, that's where they got the DNA material from. However, interestingly enough, the creation account of Adam is a bit different.
It sure is. Now, Peter, how did they know by taking the DNA sample that they were going to be successful in creating a female when, to my knowledge, there were no other females on the planet?
Well, you know, there's something that's kind of interesting. Science has found out. Now, I want to just point one thing out.
Okay.
First of all, we would never have been able to understand that Genesis 2:21 through 23 was a record of genetic engineering until the 1960s, because we didn't discover DNA until 1953, let alone figure out that we could then engineer it. And it was at the end of the 1960s, right around 68, 69, 1970. I remember actually as a kid watching this on TV. The big thing in the news was all these genetic engineers from around the world, all these scientists were getting together at a conclave to draw up the guidelines on where does genetic engineering stop and playing God begins. Now, you can be sure, and by the way, there is no accepted guideline of where playing God begins and genetic engineering stops. There are no laws. There's never been, to the best of my knowledge, there's never been a law passed which stops any company from genetically engineering anything that they choose. However, they can't use things like stem cells in the United States, but other places they can. Human stem cells, that is. But now, here's the interesting thing. A couple of years ago, the scientists came out and they said, wow, we found all this junk DNA in the human genome, and we don't know what it's for, but it doesn't seem to be doing anything. And just within the past few months, about 3 months ago, they now figured out what that junk DNA is. A human genome, the DNA of a human, has all the information in it all the way back right to the ancient one-cell bacteria, you can indeed recreate all life on planet Earth using a single cell from a human.
That is truly fascinating.
Isn't it? Think about that, Rob. You can take one cell and go recreate a whole planet. Now, let's deconstruct the human. That means you start taking genetic information out, and you keep on, or you shut those switches off, and you keep on shutting them off all the way until you get down to simple single-cell life forms, phytoplankton, or you go before that, you go into the cyanobacteria.
Peter, you and I have to take our first commercial break. What an interesting topic. When we come back, Peter and I are going to be talking about 2045. This is the X Zone. My name is Rob McConnell. Peter Kling is my very special guest this hour. If you'd like more information on Peter, or if you'd like to buy any of his books, his website is peterkling.com. That's Peter, KLING.com. The X Zone, a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. We're here every night from 10 p.m. until 2 a.m., and then the show is repeated on 6 networks over the next 24 hours. My name is Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone. We'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away. Modern Esoteric, Beyond Our Senses by Brad Olson, consummates the lifeology story about where humanity originates. It is the lost continents, the primitive wisdom, the mythos of creation, and the rethinking of ancient history as we are taught in academia. There is much more to the story than what we have been told. As this is the first book in the Esoteric series, Modern Esoteric starts at the beginning of time and accelerates up to this modern age. Future Esoteric is book 2 in the series and takes a forward-looking position ahead of today with an open and honest examination of the ET issue and various unexplained phenomena. To discover the writings of author Brad Olson, visit www.bradolson.com. That's www.bradolson.com. Named one of the world's greatest psychics, Elizabeth Joyce is now giving readings worldwide via Skype. Elizabeth Joyce is recognized for her clairvoyant ability to help find missing persons, her analysis of dreams, past life regression work, mediumship, and her accurate predictions. Elizabeth has been a frequent guest on the X Zone radio show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, now for several years. For an appointment with Elizabeth Joyce, call 201-934-8986 or Skype at elizabeth.joyce. And for more information, you can always visit Elizabeth Joyce online at www.new-visions.com.
Do you have a dis-ease that you would like to alleviate through a natural means? Have you been contacted by angels, ghosts, or even extraterrestrials and want to validate these experiences? Or would you simply like to speak with someone who can help you find your life's purpose? I'm Dr. Joseph Mara, and I'm offering my services free of charge for first-time clients contacting me during the month of April. These free consultations include angel card readings, guided meditations, life coaching, and energy healing. If you have always wanted to explore these types of experiences but were skeptical or simply could not afford them, then take advantage of this free special offer. Contact me through my website, aguidinglight, spelled LITE.com, to schedule your consultation today. Until then, I offer you love, light, and laughter.
Peter Kling is my guest this hour, www.peterkling.com. .com. Peter, we had you on a couple of months ago, and you've been on since then, but one of the topics that we touched on very briefly that really perked up my ears was a topic on 2045.
The 2045 initiative.
Yes.
What an interesting topic. You know, a lot of people really weren't aware of this. I wasn't aware of this actually until after Fukushima.
Mm-hmm.
But this is interesting. I'm going to just read this. There's actually a website for those of you who want to follow along. You can go to the 2045.com, and I'm reading under ideology, pretty much what they're about. Now, I want you to pay attention to the date. This was founded by Russian entrepreneur Dmitry Itskov in February 2011. With the participation of leading Russian specialists in the field of neurointerfaces, robotics, and artificial organs and systems. The main goal of the 2045 initiative is the creation and realization of a new strategy for the development of humanity which meets global civilization challenges. The creation of optimal conditions promoting the spiritual enlightenment of humanity and the realization of a new futuristic reality based on 5 principles: high spirituality, high culture, high ethics, high science, and high technology. These all sound like great ideals, don't they?
They certainly do.
You know, but you see, there's one interesting catch. Now, let's go back to when this was basically founded, February 2011. What happened a month later in March 2011?
I believe the tsunami.
Yeah, we had the Fukushima event.
Mm-hmm.
And the Fukushima event left us with 3 nuclear reactors, at least one of them loaded with MOX fuel, which is a combination of uranium and plutonium taken out of nuclear warheads and put in an old reactor which was never meant to handle the pressures. And these 3 reactors are in China syndrome meltdown. Now, you don't hear a whole lot about this on the news.
Nope.
Because they're covering it over. They don't want everybody to realize just how bad it has gotten. But I'm going to tell you something. Watch the airline industry and watch the cancer rates within stewardesses and pilots. It is going to skyrocket. The worst thing that you can do is get on a jetliner, get up to 40,000 feet, and fly around with all the nuclear radiation that's up there in the stratosphere.
Well, not only the nuclear radiation from Fukushima, but from all the depleted uranium and all the testing that's gone on since day one.
You know, the wild thing is, yeah, you're 100% correct. There's actually a website that you can go that'll show you the location of every nuclear explosion since Hiroshima. And since, I guess, the first detonation in Arizona. And I think we have detonated, when I say we, the United States has detonated over 600 nukes above the ground within the borders of the United States of America. A country that would bomb itself 600 times with nuclear warheads, there's no telling what they will do to another country.
Is this common practice, Peter? And I'm asking you for your expertise as a chemist here.
Well,
is this common practice?
Insanity.
No, I mean, do all the other countries like India, Pakistan, China, and Russia, do they also conduct these nuclear blasts in their own countries?
Well, pretty much, except, the ones that have been carried out in the South Pacific. France has carried out some of their tests there. They were the last ones to do an above-ground test, by the way, and they caught hell from the world for it. Mm-hmm. Above-ground testing, I think, ended in 1963, I believe, and then everything went underground. And then, with the SALT treaties and everything else, they've been decommissioning these nuclear warheads. But, Rob, there were over 70,000 nuclear warheads.
And of course, they can say that they